was working at the bedside, and I will also say that I do still work at the bedside in very limited capacity. I don't want to say I completely quit because I don't think that's helpful for every single person individually. I think that leaving is a very specialized decision that you should make based on your finances and your goals. I personally like working at a very reduced capacity because I like clinical care, but I didn't want to work and have it as my plan A. Nursing is my plan B, and it has been since I started. I knew that I probably wasn't going to stay forever and have it be my number one, and I'm happy to say that medical writing is my plan A and nursing is my plan B. So let's go into why I left so you can recognize the signs of you maybe wanting to leave too. So I was in a bedside role and I was overwhelmed, to say the least. At the same time, I could see my boss getting very, very overwhelmed. She was right above me, so we were really close, and we talked very openly on a daily basis about how her role was very, very broad, and honestly, she was responsible for way too many things. So I built a proposal along with her about how I would be open to taking on some of her roles as a semi-manager below her, and she would still have all of the overarching decisions, and I could just help with administrative tasks that she needed help with, and I would receive a moderate pay bump because of that. So we proposed it, and it got denied, but it didn't get denied because there wasn't a need. She was incredibly burnt out. She was overworked. She was working on the weekends. She was working nights. She couldn't keep up with her workload. It got denied because they didn't want to pay me extra. They rebutted with, well, why don't you just have Janelle do it anyways? And I rebutted with, that's not my scope. That's not what I was hired for. I will not do free work for free. If you want me to have a managerial position, you will pay me for such, or I won't do it. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. And I'm very sad to say my nurse leader actually ended up quitting later on in the year because she had burnout, which is really sad. I saw the burnout happening. Like I said, we built the proposal to try and reduce the risk of her actually having burnout and to alleviate a lot of the stresses of our department, and we were denied because my boss's mental health was not worth the monetary value that we had assigned for it, which was super depressing. Right away, I was told, mental health doesn't matter. You guys don't matter. It's more important for you to do the work or not do the work. We don't care. We're not paying you anymore. So super sad. She ended up leaving. At the same time, we didn't have enough supplies to do our job. A lot of the time I would go to grab something and it just wasn't there. And then COVID hit. So I was reusing PPE, I was reusing supplies, and I was told to just wipe down the gown. Same as everyone else, though. You had the stories of people in New York City using trash bags for gowns. But one day, a reimbursement official came in to make sure that we were up to code with the COVID guidelines to see if we would get reimbursement. And only on that day, they had us double gowning going into every room and coming out. So suddenly there were supplies because the reimbursement officer was there. But there were no supplies any other day. Like, I could wear 2 gowns going into a room on this one day, but every other day I had to wipe down my gown, put it in a paper bag, and use it for the next day. So I know COVID was a crazy time for the healthcare system, but it just showed me that the only time they cared about me was when a reimbursement officer was looking. They only cared about money. They did not care about my boss's mental health, and they did not care about my physical well-being at that time. So that really put everything into perspective for me. It really showed me what was important to my facility, and it wasn't me. They were just as happy to have me do everything for free at the same exact pay value that I was already doing. So, needless to say, I got burnt out. We were short-staffed. I literally had coworkers dying during COVID. I had a couple of coworkers die. Other coworkers left. Other coworkers retired. It was a wild time. And a lot of patients were dying around me. It was a lot. And I say this like every other nurse dealt with their own stuff during COVID. I'm no one special, and I know that I'm no one special. We all have our burden to bear with COVID. But I was already transitioning into medical writing before this. I already had my foot in the door and I was already exploring it. But this really drove it home for me. I was like, I'm done. I'm not coming back here. Medical writing is definitely like what I'm doing. So I was already experimenting with medical writing. I was actually a medical writer at that time, but I was really still at the bedside. And the second I realized how disposable my life was when I was like, why am I doing this? I can just do medical writing way more frequently and just like say goodbye to this toxic lifestyle. Like I felt like I was saying goodbye to like a toxic boyfriend or something. So I ended up leaving the bedside, and frankly, I haven't really looked back. I do stay in a reduced capacity, not at those facilities. I've never gone back to those facilities in a healthier facility. But I will say that medical writing allowed me to quit those facilities right away and then shop around for another facility that I was happier with, and to be at that facility at a much reduced time. And to all the while not really worry about money because I had this plan A. Like this medical writing was always going to be my plan A, and then I can just do what I want with nursing. I can pick up, I can drop, I can figure it out, and I can not really worry about it. So I invite you to consider medical writing if any of this sounds like you. If you aren't being taken away, if you aren't being taken care of at your job, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're getting asked to do work for free, you don't have to. You have other options, and medical writing is a very valuable one that you can consider. Thank you for joining me today on Nursing Now. That's it for today. Like, subscribe, and follow if you guys are interested. And I have more resources at willowbarkwriting.com if you're considering leaving the bedside. I'm also active on Instagram, TikTok, and I have a podcast now. Thank you guys. Bye.